All right, so you're thinking about making a move to Gilbert, Arizona. If you are, it makes sense. I mean, Gilbert's always ranked as one of the best places to live when moving here to the Phoenix area and the entire state as a whole. We actually just did a video on the top 10 best places to live. As usual, Gilbert comes out on top. And for as long as I can remember, it's always ranked in the top 2 or 3. So obviously, there's a lot to like. But in this video, our goal is to not convince you to move to Gilbert. We basically want to give you kind of a general understanding on what to expect, kind of share with you why people like it, and maybe give you a few reasons on why you might want to avoid it, or maybe see if there's a better spot for you. So if that information might be helpful to you, then stay tuned. What's up, everybody? It's Greg Corbett with the AZ Lifestyle Group right here in Phoenix, Arizona. If this is your first time to this channel and you're looking to find out everything you need to know about what it's like living in and or moving to the Phoenix metro area, including living in the town of Gilbert, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you can be notified whenever we post a new video. We are helping people from all over when it comes to finding the best places and neighborhoods to live here. We absolutely love it. So if you're even thinking about making a move, and you need any assistance whatsoever, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, however you want to get a hold of us. We got your back when it comes to moving to the Phoenix Metro. All right, guys, let's get right into it. I've got the map here of Gilbert on screen. Let's give you a general overview on what you need to know and kind of give you an overview on what we're going to talk about in this video. So I want to talk about the location. I want to talk about just the reputation of Gilbert, why it has the reputation it has. You know, I'm sure you've read constantly all over the internet that it's great for families. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about the entertainment districts. We're going to talk about some of the neighborhoods and kind of just where you might want to target. You know, Gilbert obviously has a lot of things to offer for a lot of people, but it's not for everybody. And I definitely have a lot of people who maybe look at Gilbert when they're first kind of moving into town, and then they come in and they tour around a little bit and they're like, nah, maybe it's not for me. So it's not for everybody. And we're just going to kind of give you a kind of a general idea on what to expect. So that you can figure out whether it is truly a good place for you to consider or whether you need to look at some other areas around the valley. So let's talk about location first. If you're coming into Phoenix here, let's say you're flying into Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, you can get to Gilbert pretty quickly and easily. You can usually get to Gilbert in about 15 to 20 minutes on the freeway as far as just access in. Now, if you're trying to get to certain locations, maybe add another 10 to 15 minutes time. And then especially if you're kind of going into the south part of Gilbert, here you'll probably need, 25 to 30 minutes to get there. So, but overall, pretty easy access. You're going to have, a decent amount of traffic around the Gilbert area. It has grown quite a bit, so there's a lot of people that live there, and it's pretty crazy when it comes to traffic. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. I do want to talk about the reputation. Let's go ahead and bring up the Town of Gilbert website, and we'll kind of talk about that. So now it's like the 5th largest city, and they call it a city here, even though it's still a town. Whether that makes a difference, I don't really know. The town of Gilbert still likes to be called a town, but the population is growing. It's over 260,000 now. You've got a median household income close to 100,000. We talked about it being the #1 place to live in Arizona for 2022 by Ranking Arizona. We just did a video on that, so check that out. #1 place to raise a family by Wallet Hub. #2 safest city, Law Street Media, whoever that is. There's a ton of blogs out there on why Gilbert is great. So again, if you've done your research, you've probably seen that. There's a lot of reasons why people like it. Here, you go to like niche.com, the #1 best suburb to raise a family here. And you get that type of stuff. So obviously there's a lot of people who are looking at Gilbert. So let's talk about why people like it. I know when I'm talking to people about Gilbert in general, one of the things that I always mention is that, from top to bottom, you're not really going to find any bad neighborhoods. I think the rest of the Phoenix metro area, when you're talking about moving to, Phoenix or Peoria or Glendale or Chandler, Mesa, Tempe. You're going to have like certain pockets that maybe aren't as desirable. Maybe they're just a little bit older, look run down. There's just certain parts of it, even down in Scottsdale, it's completely different on South Scottsdale versus North Scottsdale, that type of thing. Gilbert kind of just is good all around. You don't really have any bad neighborhoods. There's obviously neighborhoods that are going to look a little bit older because they are older. But when you're driving around, the general feel just always feels good. You don't really run into any pockets where you're like, well, this kind of looks crappy here. So that's one of the big reasons on my, or when I'm talking to people about Gilbert, is it just has a good overall feel from top to bottom. When I first lived in Gilbert back in I worked in Gilbert back in the late 90s, and that was before I got into real estate. And then I've lived in Gilbert here in the Islands. This was a cool little neighborhood that, you've got a bunch of houses that are kind of backed up to water here. You have like not gas powered boats, but you can put little pontoon boats, just float around. There's a lot of cool communities like that. So you'll see that. The parks are everywhere. You've got Freestone Park, which is really cool. You've got the Riparian Preserve, which is a really fun place, to take families. The Gilbert Regional Park is down on the south side. This has been under construction for the past several years and growing. I've done some tours on this. Make sure to check out some of our vlog tours. So if you're looking at, if you want to check out actual footage of us touring around the Gilbert area, I've got several videos. We'll leave a couple links on screen for you to check out those as well. But again, a lot of parks, a lot of cool areas to check out. When it comes to the entertainment districts, I'd say first and foremost, you've got the Heritage District on the north side of Gilbert here near Gilbert and Guadalupe. This is that downtown area. Done some tours on this. They have really done a great job of bringing in a lot of the local top restaurants, stuff that's coming in, stuff that's been really highly rated in the Central Phoenix area and in Scottsdale. They've brought in a lot of cool places, places like from my side of town up in Central Phoenix. They brought Oso down there. They've got Culinary Dropout that has been part of Central Phoenix and now has expanded into a lot of places. They've got Dierks Bentley's Whiskey Row, which is up in Old Town Scottsdale. So, and then a bunch of other restaurants. Again, you could go and talk about the stuff all day long, but it's just, there's a lot of cool places that have been brought around. They're kind of local places. So it just has a cool feel, and it's a fun place to go where you don't feel like you have to go very far to go have a fun night out on the town or get a good dining experience, that type of thing. If you go a little bit further down, you're going to run into the area around Santan Village. So Santan Village is another big kind of entertainment destination where you've got, an outdoor mall, for dining, shopping, that type of thing. All this area around the 202, we'll call Santan Village. They've got the Top Golf that's sitting up there as well. So, Top Golf is, a big popular thing for people to do in the area. I've got one up in Scottsdale. We've got one in Glendale right now. So, there's a lot of things in Gilbert that Gilbert has to offer that you may not find in some of the other areas around the valley. And you don't have to go very far to go have fun and, do something that's nice. You've got the airports close by. So you got the Chandler Municipal Airport close by. You also have Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport. So these are smaller airports. Chandler is kind of more of a private airport. Phoenix Mesa Gateway offers some cool little cheap flights in and out of places that you might need to go. So it's kind of cool to have access to the Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport here. I've definitely taken a few flights out of there. It's a small little airport, but if you want cheap flights into places that maybe Sky Harbor doesn't have access to, you got that as well. Let's talk neighborhoods too. And, I'm going to bring up this list because if you just search neighborhoods in Gilbert, you get a bunch of stuff that pops up. Some of these are not in Gilbert, but most of them are, like Val Vista Lakes and Power Ranch and Seville, Layton Lakes, Morrison Ranch. Agritopia is a big one. Like all these, I could name like a bunch of neighborhoods in Gilbert and like, hey, these are the best neighborhoods in Gilbert. They're all like pretty nice. So when I go through this list, like Stratland Estates, Gilbert Ranch, it's hard to kind of pick out what I consider my favorites, because if you go through and you drive through all these ones, they're really nice. So the positive thing about that is, like, when you're looking, you can just kind of look in Gilbert, and depending on, I'd say it always depends on, what size of home, what your price point is, what your lot sizes are, how new of home. But there's just a lot of great neighborhoods that all are going to be close to activities, or be close to parks and that type of thing. So when you're looking around in Gilbert, I would not put a specific, say, hey, I need to be in a certain area, because I think there's so many different neighborhoods that offer a lot of great amenities. So, and then when you're looking at schools, obviously Gilbert is always ranked as one of the best places when it comes to top ranked schools. So typically wherever you are in Gilbert, you're going to be able to find top rated schools, so you won't have to worry about that. All right, guys, if you're finding this info helpful at all, please consider hitting that like button, and make sure to leave a comment down below. Let us know if these map tours are helpful for you. Let us know if we're giving you the right information. We want to make sure that we're giving you information that's helpful. So let us know down in the comments. We appreciate it. Let's kind of discuss the north or the south side of Gilbert. I think a lot of people have to kind of figure out, all this looks, like everything's close and no big deal and drive time. And I don't know how many people I talk to are like, hey, I'm used to a drive, so I don't care. Fair enough. If that's the case in your situation, then, you don't have anything to worry about. But I think, when people are looking around and trying to decide where to be, it's just a little bit different down in this south section of Gilbert for some positives and some negatives. Number one, again, you're going to have newer communities. You're going to have some of the nicer, more, higher end communities that are down there. You can definitely be in $1 million plus homes down here in the south side of Gilbert that are very nice and have larger lots, have really cool views. Depending on what you're looking for, that area could be for you. The potential con is, depending on where you're going to have to drive, if you're down here in the south side of Gilbert and you're going to have to make any commute, then you might have a little bit more drive time. So it's going to be something to consider on that. Obviously, a little bit more traffic as well. So the north side of Gilbert here, you're going to have, and there's a mix of some newer communities as well. So I don't want to say all of the newer communities are down south of the 202, but that's where the majority are. You're going to find more of the kind of the older neighborhoods here. They're nice. They're just going to you're just not going to have the same kind of look and feel as some of these newer areas. So something to consider there. You want to consider how nice the home you want to be, also how much drive time you want. The other thing that is kind of nice in the south side of Gilbert here, and you get a lot of areas where, for people who are into horses or want acre properties, that type of thing. I mean, Gilbert has always been known as kind of a ranch kind of area, farm, definitely had a lot of farms and stuff like that. It still has that feel in a lot of spots. And so there's a lot of people that still have larger properties with horses and that type of thing, especially on that south side of Gilbert. So you kind of get that feel. You might see people riding their horse down the street still when it comes to Gilbert, which, for me, it's just kind of a cool little thing to see. So I have friends that have horses. I've gotten on a horse here and there, but you typically won't find me too many times like riding. I'm not going to be doing that very often, even though, it is fun every now and then, but that's what you're going to see over there. Let's go ahead and talk a couple cons to Gilbert and kind of what you need to be aware of. And right now, affordability is kind of crazy across the board. We're going to see if we're going to start making some changes. It's starting to get into a balanced market and potentially go into a buyer's market. So that could be good news if you're looking to buy a home here soon. You're going to have a lot more availability. I mean, just right now, the listings have gone crazy. There's a lot more availability out there. There's less demand. You don't have to fight for homes anymore, but the prices have obviously gone up. And so we're going to see what the adjustment is. I feel like there's going to be an adjustment just based on supply and demand. So we're going to see that. But But affordability right now is still a little bit high because Gilbert is so popular. So that's one con you need to be aware of, is you might pay a little bit more to be in Gilbert than some of the other areas. So yeah, you got to consider that. The other thing that we talked about before, which again, when driving around, and I think this kind of fits a lot of the entire Phoenix metro area, but the traffic down in Gilbert, there's just so much going on that the traffic all over Gilbert is just kind of crazy. So it's a lot different from when I used to live there and work there. Just, anytime I'm going into Gilbert now, it just seems crazy busy, and it just seems a little bit busier than even what I'm used to driving around here in Phoenix sometimes. So be prepared for that. You're going to have that kind of crazy traffic because it's just a popular area. It's not the kind of quiet town that used to be back in the day. So something to consider when you're thinking about whether Gilbert could be right for you. Another thing to think about is, if you're thinking about Gilbert, but you're open to other possibilities, and most people are open to Chandler. So there's a lot of potential. I mean, between Gilbert and Chandler, there's so many similarities. So if you're looking at one, you might as well look at the other. You also have people that are kind of looking out here close to Mesa and also Queen Creek. So, especially like in Queen Creek, if you're looking in Gilbert and you're like, well, let me see what Queen Creek has to offer. There might be some neighborhoods to consider there. You're not really going to get any better affordability right now in Queen Creek based on what I'm seeing right now, but you might see something that's a little bit further out that, if you don't have to make any massive commute, it might be worth taking a look at. So, maybe look at some of the little neighborhoods near Gilbert because you can be, close access to other things as well. Same thing with Mesa. Obviously, the Eastmark area out here on this side. So here's Eastmark here, right off the 202. You're going to have a lot of popularity with these big neighborhoods here, but there is a lot of like cookie cutter style stuff, and it's on smaller lot sizes. And neighborhoods are cool. There's a lot of cool amenities to some of these neighborhoods. So if you really like the nicer amenities, you don't mind the smaller lot size, they're pretty neat. But there's a lot of people that I talk to that come in and be like, great, that's cool, I'm glad it has amenities, but I'm not going to be wanting a little postage stamp lot. So really depends on what you're looking for there. We'll kind of try to guide you along the way to figure out if it makes sense. And then one other thing that, I forgot to mention, with living here as long as I have and going through so much, I have so many things on my mind when it comes to like going through these areas. And, but one of the really cool things that I like to still do, especially when we're going down and visit friends, and it's fun for the family, is going down to the Heritage District. So if we go back to that downtown district area, around Gilbert and Guadalupe, this area has a cool farmers market right in here that runs every weekend, and it's probably one of my favorite farmers markets that we have here in the Phoenix metro area. It's just a cool little setup. There, I'll try to get some footage for you guys and put it up on screen here. But for me, like it's one of the and there's farmers markets all over town. So don't get me wrong. I mean, you can live in all sorts of different areas and go to the farmers market. Gilbert one just kind of seems a little cooler to me and has some, it's just in a great location. It brings a lot of people together. It's all year long. And there's always just cool little businesses there that, just offer just a lot of things that you don't ever think about that, you might want to try out. So definitely recommend the Gilbert Farmers Market, as one of the cool things to do in Gilbert if you're living there. All right, guys, so there is a quick general overview of Gilbert for you. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of what to expect. Obviously, there's a lot to cover. I mean, it's hard to cover everything. We try to do the best we can to kind of give you a general overview with the map. There's probably a lot that we missed on there, but if you're looking to make a move to Gilbert or anywhere else in the Southeast Valley and you want to kind of compare and you want to figure out whether it's right for you, make sure to reach out to us. We're here to kind of help guide you to make sure that you make the right move for you and you're not making a move that you kind of regret later. So we want to put you in the right spot that makes sense for you, makes sense for your lifestyle. There is a lot to like about Gilbert, but it may or may not be for you. The only way we can figure that out is if you reach out to us, give us a call, and tell us your story so that we can kind of guide you through what makes sense and maybe give you some areas that you might not have considered. especially when you're looking online and you're just constantly seeing information about like, hey, Gilbert is the best. There's a lot to like. Don't get me wrong. It might be right for you, but again, it might not be. We're going to help guide you through that. So again, reach out to us. We'll leave our contact info on screen. As always, make sure to leave a comment. Let us know if there was any information that we missed or anything that we can answer for you question-wise. We're here to help people when it comes to finding the best places and neighborhoods to live here. We absolutely love it. So if you're thinking about making a move, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email. However you want to get a hold of us, we got your back. And until the next video, we'll catch you later.